Excuse me. On a hot, humid day in August, few things seem as tantalizing as heading to a water park, making memories with your family and friends to catch thrilling rides and stay cool in the pool. This was the exact thinking behind Scott and Michelle Schwab on August 7th, 2016, as they loaded up their 4 sons in the SUV and headed off to Schlitterbahn Water Park in Kansas City, Missouri. The 2 older sons, Nathan age 12 and Caleb age 10, were very excited to be able to finally go on the route, which was being marketed and billed as the world's tallest and fastest water slide ever made. The park designer and owner, Jeff Henry, did not have any relevant degrees for making this water slide. He did not even have a high school diploma. His lead design partner also did not have any degrees in physics, science, math, engineering, architecture, anything. And they also did not outsource. They decided to build it themselves using his Henry & Sons construction company and basically throwing it up with tape and a prayer. As a result, when the ride went down, it was not properly weighted, and there were curved metal bars with a safety net that would keep riders' items in the rafts from, flying, flailing around. And as they went down the first incline, things were fine. When they went up the second 55-foot hill, at the peak, they crested and Caleb went flying up. Being nearly strapped in with Velcro straps across his stomach and chest, he flew up, hit the metal bars around here at his neck and clavicle area, and was injured fatally. Now, his older brother had been down at the bottom watching the entire scene play out. And he saw as his brother's body trailed the raft down the slide, and red water flowed behind. Everyone started screaming. The parents ran over. Luckily, people held them back from going over and seeing what had happened. But that afternoon, they had to go home with one less child wondering, how could something like this even happen? I'm Kelly Disney Smith, and tonight we're going to talk about the issue of theme park safety. Now, you might be wondering, am I even qualified to discuss this with you? Well, I have researched this topic extensively, looking at the International Association of Amusement Park Attraction Safety Standards through research studies and safety survey data compilations that they have done yearly by region since 2003. I've also read numerous news articles, listened to dozens of podcasts on all kinds of injuries that have happened. I'm also a member of 2 separate coaster enthusiast clubs, and I've also been an in-person witness to some of the safety concerns we'll discuss, in addition to some of the injuries. Each year, millions of theme park goers climb aboard and off these thrilling rides with little thought for the design, safety, mechanical issues. Have the operators been trained properly? All they're excited about is knowing that they're going to have a fun time. By examining how many injuries are occurring each year, how these injuries are happening, and why is there no national safety committee, we can hopefully solve the research question I came up with of how are we being kept safe? My first point is that over 3 million people visited American theme parks alone in 2022. Of these 350 million visits, there were approximately 1,390 injuries. Now, this included small injuries, sentinel events that resulted in serious, grievous injuries and fatalities. These are the results of 437 American parks, and this was the 2022 Ride Safety Report compiled by the National Safety Council for the IAAPA. Now that we've discussed how many injuries are happening, which honestly, that's a very small percentage, we just tend to hear the bad stories from media. Let's look at why these injuries are occurring. Now, my second point, most injuries and accidents actually occur due to guest behaviors rather than ride malfunctions or design flaws. Now, this is according, again, to the IAAPA, And guest behaviors include things like tripping when getting on or off the ride. Maybe people are screwing around, not keeping their seatbelt on, they're raising their arms up and down, not following safety instructions, or they're taking loose articles on the ride like a phone, and it's flying out when the roller coaster goes upside down, and it's smacking somebody else in the face and breaking their nose, as happened last summer when we were on a ride. No, it wasn't my nose. Now, a recent scintillating event that occurred because of a guest behavior was in Tennessee, where a gentleman jumped over two fences, one of them being 6 feet tall, and ignored at least 4 different signs saying, "Stay away, not safe, employees only, do not enter," after his cell phone that he took on had fallen underneath the ride. He grabbed it, and when standing up, unfortunately, a coaster collided with him, and unfortunately, he did not survive his injuries. So because of one not well thought out plan, that's it. So now that we've discussed the reasoning for these injuries, let's take a look at why there's no National Oversight Committee. In 1972, the federal government appointed a national committee to regulate these rides, but they later dismantled it. The Consumer Products Safety Commission was created by Congress to watch over and regulate both fixed amusement park rides and temporary ones, like with circuses, carnivals, fairs, and the such. An article by Lawrence Banton informed me that the change was sparked by 2 accidents in 2 separate parks in Texas that saw lawsuits head to court. A circuit court judge said, yes, the CPSC had jurisdiction over fixed rides, while a second judge in the other case said that no, they do not. Based on this, Congress realized that the verbiage was not very clear, and in order to clarify, they decided to revise, and then in such, they restricted the CPSC's oversight to only to not being in charge of fixed rides anymore. Now, what does this mean? Who is watching out for us? Well, in all except for 9 states, these states have regulations and committees that will watch over and make sure that things are being ran up to code and safe. How well they're doing that depends on which state you're in, and if you're in one of those 9, it's like the wild, wild west. You're on your own, kid. Now, if it's regulated by the state, then you have a person in charge that's most likely a state fire marshal, a public official, or perhaps an agricultural official. In Virginia, we have a private sector oversight committee, and we have regulations covering fixed and movable rides, and it's watched over by the Department of Housing and Community Development. And each area watches over their community. So like for Busch Garden, Williamsburg's Department of Housing is the one who looks over it. And here, rides must be registered and they must have insurance. And they also go through annual inspections by third-party inspectors. You can check out some of these sources, which I will leave for you to check your own states and to see how you're being kept safe. So to review, we've looked at how small a percentage of injuries there truly are, why they're occurring, and why there was a federal oversight committee, but because Congress was worried for lawsuits against them, there's now only state regulatory committees, and they're not really doing much about it. So I'm not telling you all this to scare you. It's just so that you're aware, because again, these incidents are very small and few between, and as long as you're being responsible and safe and taking proper precautions, you can still go this summer and have an amazing time making new memories with your friends and family, as long as you keep safety in the front of your mind. Thank you.